Well, this was a spooky good time.
It works, yes.
Oh, man. Spook.
Spook.
He's gonna be like a blind monk in a cave somewhere at some point, dispensing bits of odd
Mhm.
wisdom to young heroes.
Okay, well, it's going to take a long time for him to gain that wisdom, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's not there yet.
Yeah. But look, it makes so much sense. You go way
Mm.
back to the first book where Kelsier's like, strange things happen to people that flare their metal too much. Of course, we're gonna get what happens at some point in the book, and it was building up to that with Spook.
Yeah,
I didn't think it
that
would be
makes so
like
much sense.
this. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, it is fascinating that we do learn what strange things do happen.
Yeah.
We thought it just messed a little bit with your mind, but it seems like it's actually changed him
His
as well, physically.
yeah. And I get so darn frustrated with him. He's walking through the town. He's like, I'm invincible. No, he didn't think he was invincible. But he's basically extremely confident. And I'm like, dude, one loud clap and you are out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not considering that. It actually would be good for him to have thought one loud clap, and he would be, like it would be good to cover that base that
Mm-hmm.
he's figured out, or I don't know, he's got more endurance now. Like there was the explanation of during the day he wears like a balaclava, essentially, like covers his
Yeah.
face. And I'm just like, yeah, we would give him sunglasses or something. But yeah, that base is not covered.
Yeah.
Like just drop. Like how often do people drop things? Come on.
Yeah. And then I think this is the real main chapter where we
Mm.
learn why the fandom is divided on whether or not he's creepy. Yeah?
Mm. Yeah,
And
yeah. I was sure when I saw the ending, I was like, oh, okay, now I understand what kind of conversation we're gonna have about him.
yeah, and you know what? I still fall firmly on Team Spook's side here.
Yeah, I understand what he's going through.
Yeah. Look, you don't want to be cringe and awkward,
Hmm.
but it's okay to appreciate women.
Yeah, it becomes really unhealthy when you completely imagine an entire relationship with a person, and then it becomes proper stalkerish and dangerous.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, so if that is where this is going, that's going to be like it does hint at it because he feels like he knows her, but he still has awareness that he's like, yeah, well, that's just weird. It's not real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we know that he's already been, well, we'll get to it when we get to him, but like he's already been established as somebody who really wants to love a woman and be loved by a woman.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's we'll see. I don't know if it's setting him up to be the creep.
Yeah. I mean, well,
Well, people become this the thing is this creepy sort of behavior or something like that. They people can evolve into it
yeah. Yeah.
because of yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm influenced. I mentioned it in the first chapter of this series that I know something regarding Spook, and what I know is now influenced by what happens in this
Mm,
chapter. Like, I can see an A to B line.
mm,
So, there's that on me. So,
mm-hmm,
but with that said, let's get into the chapter so we can actually break it all down, yeah?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, That Darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are both going into this story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world. Each segment will cover what happens in each new chapter while discussing our experience along the way.
This is The Hero of Ages. It's all in the pages. A blind read-through. And today we are covering Chapter 13.
It's actually chapter 14.
Is it?
Yeah.
Chapter 14!
Chapter 14! The first chapter of part 2, which is Cloth and Glass.
I bet the cloth is the balaclava that Spook wears.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the glass would be like nails on a chalkboard type thing.
Mm.
I-
Shattered glass.
Hmm.
That's loud.
Oh! Totally forgot. I had a revelation this week that I was really excited to talk to you about.
Go on. You're killing me!
The Pits of Hathson. The Pits of Hathson
Uh-huh.
are totally what is left of the Silver Lake. Because we know that Reshek moved the mountains. This is Terrace.
Uh-huh.
So he
Yeah.
totally reworked the geography, and the beads of Atium are the crystallized water from the Silver Lake.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So the Silver Lake is connected to Allomancy in some way.
Yeah, well, it's... Yes, okay, it's a metal, I suppose.
Or becomes a metal, or he turned it into a vaguely metal thing. We know that there were Atium crystals, or geodes, that came from dripping something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the big
So
revelation.
the mineral in the water, but yeah.
Yeah. So at the end
It
of
was the lake, yeah.
Yeah, that was my big revelation, because this is Terrace. The well didn't move. The landscape changed.
Yeah. Well, he said he moved the Well of Ascension, but she said he moved the Well of Ascension, but it's like
But
he moved the mountains.
The epigraph
Mm.
in this book said that he raised the mountains. And
Yeah.
anyway, big wow for me this week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but also I had an elevator thought from the last chapter.
Mm-hmm.
300,000 kolos. I don't remember if I've said it before or not, but the end of this book is going to be the Dragon Ball Z, people of Earth, lend me your energy. All of the humans are going to emotionally allamance the 300,000 kolos to defeat Ruin.
Like, how?
I have no clue.
Okay, because how do you emotionally elements without emotional elemency?
I don't know. They'll find a way to give Vin their energy or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, finally the chapter. Ruin's consciousness was trapped by the Well of Ascension, kept mostly impotent. That night, when we discovered the well for the first time, we found something we didn't understand. A black smoke clogging one of the rooms. Black smoke?
Mm-hmm.
Though we discussed it after the fact, we couldn't decide what it was. How could we possibly have known? It was part of the body of a god, or rather the power of a god, since the two are really the same thing. Ruin and preservation inhabited power and energy in the same way a person inhabits flesh and blood.
Right. So yours says part of a body of a god. Mine says the body of a god.
Mine says it was part of the body of a god.
Part of the body of a god. That's still different. She's saying part of. And I say she because I'm more and more convinced this was Vin.
Okay.
The body of a god. Instead of the part of the body of a god. Like part of means there's more body. Mine just says the body of a god means that's the body.
Interesting.
Do you not see that?
Yours says it was the body of a god?
Mine just says, how would we possibly have known? The body of a god, or rather the power of a god,
Okay.
since the two are really the same thing.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a It is a big
Maybe the
difference.
difference isn't. Yeah, I guess it's a difference in terms of like, well, what's the other part is a question you could ask, but not in my edition.
I just
Yeah.
assumed that
Uh,
there's more smoke.
yeah, I suppose that would be it. Ruin and preservation inhabited power and energy in the same way a person inhabits flesh and blood. So the dark smoke is ruin, right?
I assume so, yes.
hmm Does this mean the mists are preservation?
Honestly, that's kind of what I might be thinking. It would dark and light, smoke and mist.
Mm. Like,
That would make the deepness good, set the mist in opposition to ruin,
mm,
except that the mist is killing people.
yeah, it's killing people, but and it also is making it so people can't eat. Okay, so that is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm like, that's why I'm questioning how it this mist is. What is this mist?
Well,
Because yeah.
that sets my mind to wondering if the mist is supposed to envelop the earth.
hmm
What does the mist enveloping the earth accomplish if it kills all of humanity?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I think of the mist as protecting from the red sun.
Right, but
Um,
except for the fact that
mm,
the red sun was created to diffuse the mist.
oh, oh, but then so yeah, the red sun was created to diffuse the mist. Then the problem occurred. Oh, that it was too there was too much. So the ash was for the red sun.
Right, to block the red
But she
sun.
could be mistaken. Like
Mm,
or they could be mistaken. They could have had it reversed. They don't really know unless they read this
yeah.
from something. The reason that I think of this, of the mists at all being anything about preservation, is because they are thinner and diaphanous to spook in this chapter. So it's like, is ruin
Mm,
making them thinner, or is it just thinner and diaphanous because that's just the way he sees it now because he's so
yeah.
super sense enhanced.
To further your point, Kitty, by the way, the Khandra are of preservation. They are mist wraiths. So that does
hmm
support the claim that the mist is preservation.
Yeah, but it doesn't work all the way through for me because yeah, it's not doing very good. It's not doing a lot of help. It's not preserving much.
True.
Mm. But I don't know. That's what I take from ruin and preservation, inhabited power and energy in the same way. So is that trying to hint at preservation has a form, and we need to find that? Or was preservation just the what was in the well? I suppose that's fine. That makes sense. I don't know.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm sure we'll get answers in the future.
I hope so.
Spook flared tin. He let it burn within him. Burn brightly, burn powerfully. He never turned it off anymore. He just left it on, letting it roar, a fire within him. Tin was one of the slowest burning metals, and it wasn't difficult to obtain in the amounts necessary for allomancy. You
Right, so
addict.
we have explanation. Yeah, we have explanation of how he maintains his addiction.
Yeah,
It's easy to come by, and it's not being run. It's not being burnt out very quickly.
yeah, and I know you had expressed concern about how they would get all the metal necessary, so it's
hmm
a great way for Sanderson to let us know, hey, that knowing that isn't necessary at this time.
hmm
It's not an
Yeah.
issue.
hmm
He moved down the silent street. Few people went out after dark, regardless of Kelsier's now famous proclamations that the Ska need not fear the mists. Deep and mysterious, dark and omnipresent, the nightly mists were one of the great constants of the final empire. Thicker than a simple fog, they swirled in definite patterns, almost as if the different banks, streams, and fronts of mist were living things, almost playful yet enigmatic.
Yeah. So that's also just making me go, okay. Are there good mists and bad mists? We've had this kind of idea of like, okay, wait, is there a good mist thing and a bad mist thing?
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
To Spook, they were barely an inconvenience anymore. He'd always been told not to flare his tin too much. He'd been warned not to become dependent on it. It would do dangerous things to his body, people said. And the truth was they were right. He had flared his tin nonstop for a year straight, never letting up, keeping his body in a constant state of super heightened senses, and it had changed him. He worried that the changes would indeed be dangerous. But he needed them, for the people of Urtio needed him. You know, this is what happens when your friends don't duly appreciate you.
Yeah, and you don't appreciate yourself.
That too.
You don't do that. You don't do that work yourself. So you rely on others to appreciate you, and you don't realize your own worth. So it all comes together to leave you a lonely, insecure person who's really just trying to find their value. This also makes me think of somebody who has undergone trauma, a traumatic experience. They actually are hypersensitive. They have their senses are always on alert. That's actually how they like. Remember with Vin, that's basically what she was like. This is now enhanced
Mm-hmm.
traumatic hypersensitivity. That's definitely dangerous. That's not gonna do you any favors as a human being. And the solitude that he's in is not helping either. They're going to be like, oopsie, when they figure out what's happened to Spook.
They're not gonna blame themselves when they figure out what
No.
happened to Spook.
Well, I think Vin will eventually. She's like that.
No way.
She'll say, I should have, I should have. I think that's what she's going to do. Because that helps her hate on herself.
I don't think so. I don't think that they are going to take responsibility for not that it is their fault for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't think that any of them will take the time to consider that they could have treated him more like an equal and not just the intern. I'm sorry. We know Ham got a lordship. We know Spook did not.
Hmm.
Not all things are treated equally. Now, some of it is necessity. If he's talented at being a spy and that's how they are going to utilize him, by its nature, he will be sent away. Sure, but that doesn't mean that. Yeah.
I have more faith in the characters like Elend and Vin being reflective. Besides it, when he's a bit more clear-minded, I feel like they will have some idea that they could have done something differently.
I hope so.
Mm.
And look, okay, so did you ever watch Shameless?
Yep.
When the show started to go downhill toward the end, around the time Fiona left, they did an addiction storyline for Fiona. And it was terribly rushed. It was terribly written. But essentially, she was like just starting down the bad path. And then Lip like cuts her off completely and entirely. And he's like, if you're going to continue to do this, you're not getting anywhere near us or the family or the house. You're done. Kind of a thing. And my opinions of the show and whether or not that was earned based off of what Fiona had done up to that point aside, sometimes that firm hand is necessary. And it's not always pretty. Like then I think about Breaking Bad and gosh, I'm forgetting her name. Kristen Ritter's character, Jesse's girlfriend, the artist and the heroin addict.
I'm not as familiar with it. Yeah.
The girl that overdoses. The dad was going to force her to go back to rehab when he realized she was using again. And she convinces him to wait just one more day. And doing that, in a small way, contributed to the overdosing because she overdosed that night. So there is a point where you need to be very firm-handed. But you also want to be preventive with this kind of thing. You don't want it to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Spook has talked about how important it is that he be useful. He's talked to Elend about it, and then there was that point where the truth regarding Club's and Sazed's deception comes out, and Elend responds with, "I'm disappointed," and I still argue Spook did nothing wrong there. And we have Vin around that time thinking he's burning too much tin, he's burning too much tin. That was the time when it would have been necessary for them to extend to him some more positive attention. I think obviously they had so much going on, so you can't entirely blame them. But
And remember what Ellen did say to him was that he is useful, that he is valuable. Like I know that it's only words, but it is at the time what he did. So yes, he was disappointed in the moment, but remember later on it was like I need to be useful. I'm not useful. I'm useless. And he said, "You are useful." And
mm-hmm,
arguably sending him on this mission is allowing him to be useful. That's what he wants.
yeah.
So
And we see
send
how
obviously they're
seriously he
not.
takes it.
Yes, that's on him. Him taking it that seriously and being not talking about it. Not talking about what he's really feeling beyond, yeah, I feel useless, but he doesn't go, "Oh, I burned tin." He's not telling anyone that he burns tin and flares tin so that he could be useful. He doesn't do that. So it's both. You can't lay blame at one person's feet, but yeah, he's like many people with just psychological problems. You take one thing and you just go too hard with it, and you
Mm-hmm.
become obsessed, and that's what he's done.
Yeah. And with this kind of thing, there's never any one simple solution. There's no one conversation or sequence of words
Exactly.
to fix any of it. But poor Spook at the end of the day
Mm-hmm. Yeah, poor Spook.
should have been given a noble title. Damn it. That one, I take that one personally.
I think he could have like a title, but you keep it secret somehow.
Why would he need to keep
Uh,
it secret? He was part of the crew.
he's a spy. You can't be like out in the public
I mean,
eye.
I assume when he's out spying, he's doing it secretively. He's disguised and stuff.
Yes, but the thing is, it's still a liability to be like
Mm,
out and about and recognizable
mm,
as yeah. So I don't know. I'm thinking there is some excuse there.
maybe. He better have inherited Clubs' title.
Yeah.
Okay. Stars blazed in the sky above him, a million tiny suns shining through the mists that had, over the past year, become diaphanous and weak. At first, Spook had thought the world was changing. Then he had realized that it was merely his perception. Tin helped an allomancer pierce the mists, but by flaring tin for so long, he had somehow permanently enhanced his senses to a point far beyond what others could attain.
Yeah. So
Permanently.
his ex. Yeah. So his ex. Yeah, permanently enhanced. I suppose that means he stopped flaring and realized that he does have heightened senses even without it.
Mm-hmm.
But then yeah, his explanation for them being weak and diaphanous is just his perception. It has nothing to do with the ruin entering the world and that sort of thing.
Yeah. He'd almost stopped. The flared tin had begun as a reaction to Clubs' death. He still felt terrible about the way he'd escaped Luthadel, leaving his uncle to die. During those first few weeks, Spook had flared his metals as almost a penance. He'd wanted to feel everything around him, take it all in, even though it was painful, perhaps because it was painful.
Yeah, there we go. That's the traumatic thing that happened. And then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's self-harm in it as well.
Yeah. And again, to my whole they all disregard Spook, Vin is so concerned about Sazed. Has she
Hmm.
commented on Spook at all?
Well, she's done the thing where she thinks that that's just the way Spook is. Spook is Spook.
Yeah.
Sazed has a noticeable change because Sazed is not a quiet. completely quiet person that sneaks around. Yeah, there's a lot of dismissal. I agree with you. There's a dismissal of, oh well, Spook is just weird. Spook is just quiet. So, or Spook is just young as well. Therefore, it's fine. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Then he'd started to change, and that had worried him. But the crew always talked about how hard Vin pushed herself. She rarely slept, using pewter to keep herself awake and alert. Spook didn't know how that worked. He was no Mistborn and could only burn one metal. But he figured that if burning his single metal could give him an advantage, he'd better take it, because they were going to need every advantage they could get.
Yeah, so that gives us as well this, whatever happens to Spook going forward, this was his intention. This was something that was at the core of it, was I want to help. I want to
Yeah.
be I want to use what I have to help. So, yeah, whatever happens after this, yeah, as a result, just remember he wanted to help initially.
Yep. It comes from a good place, sort
Mm.
of. And he's this is how he's grieving Clubs' death, or grieved
Yeah.
Clubs' death, you know.
Mm.
The starlight was like daylight to him. During daytime, he now had to wear a cloth tied across his eyes to protect them, and even then going outside was sometimes blinding. His skin had become so sensitive that each pebble in the ground, each crack, each flake of stone, felt like a knife jabbing him through the soles of his shoes. The chill spring air seemed freezing, and he wore a thick cloak.
This would probably be the place to talk about, like, if somebody dropped something, a loud noise. Like,
Well,
this is where you would, yeah, where you would put it.
yes, but I think its absence is indicative of the fact that Spook doesn't consider it at all.
Hmm. Yeah. It's going to be relevant. It will become highly relevant to him.
Yeah, Spook is overconfident in his
Hmm.
ability.
Hmm.
He had concluded that these nuisances were small prices to pay for the opportunity to become whatever it was he had become. As he moved down the street, he could hear people shuffling and turning in their beds, even through their walls. He could sense a footstep from many yards away. He could see on a dark night as no other human ever had. So, in a way, the opportunity to become whatever it was he had become, he almost seems to think of himself as something more than human.
Hmm. Yeah. And that satisfies some sort of need in him, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm also special.
Yeah. Perhaps he'd find a way to become useful to the others. Always before, he'd been the least important member of the crew, the dismissible boy who ran errands or kept watch while the others made plans. He didn't resent them for that. They'd been right to give him such simple duties. Because of his street dialect, he'd been difficult to understand, and while all the other members of the crew had been handpicked by Kelsier, Spook had joined by default since he was Clubs' nephew.
Okay, yeah, but he was still trusted by Kelsier.
Yes.
Like, Kelsey is not going to just let you tag along. He will only, like, yeah, handpicked. No, he would be like, if Spook is a liability, no, he would kick him out. I don't think it's as easy as, oh well, it's fine, just leave it at your nephew. It's like, yeah, Kelsey probably initially just trusted him because he trusts Clubs, but
Yeah.
he gave him a nickname and all of that stuff. Like, he was part of the crew to Kelsey, in my opinion.
I agree. And to slightly counter what I've been saying about them not duly appreciating him, I will say I did a lot of theater when I was younger, youth theater and then community theater. And when you like make that jump from youth theater to community theater, you're in a cast usually with a mixture of adults and kids. It's weird for
Mm.
the kids to be hanging out with the adults, right? And
Yeah.
so that age dynamic, there is something at play there, because Ham and Breeze and Kelsey, they're all adults.
Mm.
But
And Vin is older than him as well.
but not by much, like a year or
Not by
two.
much, but yeah, but also her mistbornness makes her as well, like, she has to play more of a part. She will need to be more part of their confidence in that.
Yeah. She was the main character as well, so of course she gets all the attention.
Yes.
So there is that element at play as well. But there was a point after Kelsier where he is an adult now, and
Mhm.
I think should be treated as such. his spy duties are adult responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough line. Spook sighed, shoving his hands in his trouser pockets as he walked down the too bright street. He could feel each and every thread in the fabric. Dangerous things were happening, he knew. The way the mists lingered during the day, the way the ground shook periodically as if it were a sleeping man suffering a terrible dream. Spook worried he wouldn't be of much help in the critical days to come. He had fled from Luthadel the previous year out of fear, leaving his uncle to die, but also out of a knowledge of his own impotence. He wouldn't have been able to help during the siege.
You don't know that.
You don't?
Yeah, he thinks of only helping. He only thinks of helping
Yes.
through through allomancy. That's
Mm.
the only way you're allowed to help, which is just like that's not true.
Yeah. He didn't want to be in that position again. He wanted to be able to help. He wouldn't run into the woods hiding while the world ended around him. Alan Vin had sent him to Urtio to gather as much information as he could about the citizen and his government there, so Spook intended to do his best. If that meant pushing his body beyond what was safe, so be it. The citizen!
Mm-hmm. Epic.
Look, sometimes I wonder about Sanderson's choices in names,
Mm-hmm.
but the citizen sounds cool AF.
It does. It sounds cool AF, and considering what their ideas are like, this government, it makes sense.
Yeah, so much. He approached a large intersection and looked both ways down the crossed streets, the view clear as day to his eyes. I may not be Mistborn, and I may not be Emperor, he thought, but I'm something. Something new. Something Kelsier would be proud of. Maybe this time I can help. I do not think Kelsier would be proud of you in your current state, Spook. I'm really sorry to tell you that.
Yeah, he would be worried.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he would be very worried, actually, honestly.
Maybe he could be swayed into thinking this is necessary because it's the end of the world.
Kelsier?
Like the way that, yeah, like the way that he would be worried, but then it's like Vin going, well, listen, we have to, so he could understand that argument at least, but I don't know if that would get rid of his concern.
I think I'm gonna hard disagree with you here. I do not think he would ever ask someone else to go through that. I think he might be willing to do that to himself, but I don't think he would approve of Spook doing it, or Ham, or Breeze, or Clubs, or any of the others.
Hypocrites! But he cares.
Yes. He saw no motion in either direction, so he slipped onto the street and moved to the north. It felt strange sometimes, slinking quietly along a street that seemed brightly lit, yet he knew that to others it would be dark. With only diffuse starlight to see by, the mists blocking and obscuring as ever, he brushed through them, barely noticing their presence. He heard the patrol long before he saw it. How could someone not hear that clanking of armor, not feel that clatter of feet on the cobblestones? He froze, standing with his back to the earthen wall bordering the street, watching for the patrol. They bore a torch. To Spook's enhanced eyes, it was a blazing beacon of near-blinding brilliance. I like that alliteration.
Beautiful.
The torch marked them as fools. Its light wouldn't help, just the reverse. The glow reflected off the mists, enveloping the guards in a glowing bubble that ruined their night vision. See, Spook, you have enough awareness of that for them? Turn that around on yourself.
He's like, yeah, blinding brilliance, it's fine. It's okay.
Spook stayed where he was, motionless. The patrol clanked forward, moving down the street. They passed within a few feet of him, but didn't notice him standing there. There was something invigorating about being able to watch, feeling at once completely exposed and perfectly unseen. It made him wonder why the new Urtio government even bothered with patrols. Of course, the government's Ska officials would have very little experience with the mists.
Right, so this invigorating thing about being almost like right there, that's like a feeling of dominance, because it's like, look, I've outsmarted you. I'm here, but you can't see me. I can see you, but you can't see me. That's something that can then be very twisted far out into
Hubris.
abnormal behavior. Yeah, but hubris, but also abnormal behavior.
Yes.
Like voyeurism kind of behavior. Yeah, because it becomes an assertion of power.
Yeah. Be very careful, Spook.
Yeah, and he gets invigorated by this idea. He gets addicted to doing that, to being so close. Like you, when you talk about hubris, it's invigorating to be close because you're just almost going to be found, but you're not. Like that probably would lead him to take risks that actually he shouldn't by any means, that are completely unnecessary as well.
Yeah. The thrill of almost getting caught.
Mm.
As the guard patrol disappeared around a corner, their glaring light receding with them, Spook returned to his task. The citizen would be meeting with his aides this night if his schedule held. Spook intended to listen in on that conversation. He moved carefully down the street. No city could compare with Luthadel in sheer size, but Urtio made a respectable effort. As the hereditary home of the Venture line, it had once been a much more important and well-maintained city than it was now. I will take this moment to say the description of the canals and how they are used now sound really cool.
It's very cool in terms of how unusual it would look.
Yes.
Mm.
It sounds very
Like for me,
unique and interesting.
mm, yeah, like it would be a tourist attraction for somebody.
Yeah. But then we get a really interesting line. That decline had begun before the death of the Lord Ruler. I had to read that line a couple of times because the implication there being its current state is not because of the death of the Lord Ruler,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not because of Straff Venture as king. It is
Mm-hmm.
due to Straff's tenure as the leading nobleman. Even during the Lord Ruler's time, the city was going downhill. That seems
Mm-hmm.
heavy to me. Juicy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We need to understand that more.
Mm. The most obvious sign of that was the roadway Spook now walked on. Once the city had been crisscrossed with canals that had functioned as watery streets. Those canals had gone dry some time ago, leaving the city riddled with deep, dusty troughs that grew muddy when it rained. Rather than filling them in, the people had simply begun to use the empty bottoms as roads. The street Spook now used had once been a wide waterway capable of accommodating large barges. 10-foot-high walls rose on either side of the sunken street, and buildings loomed above, built up against the rim of the canal. Nobody had been able to give Spook a definite or consistent answer as to why the canals had emptied. Some blamed earthquakes, others blamed droughts. The fact remained, however, that in the 100 years since the canals had lost their water, nobody had found an economical way to refill them. I mean, there is so much
It does.
character to the city
Mm-hmm.
in such a
Mm.
short description here, and in many ways, I think this city now has more character than Luthadel does.
Yeah. The thing with that I picked up here was like 100 years since the canals had lost their water. So that's
Straff?
before Straff,
Yeah.
and we don't understand why that would have happened at all. And yeah, nobody wanted to refill them with water, but they also didn't refill them or fill them with dirt. Like I'm like, so we just left that. That's a weird characteristic. And then I guess it becomes, well, this is the way it is, so it just never changes.
Yeah, I mean, I
Or
like
maybe
it.
Straff had some other way, some other reason not to.
Yeah. Look, I
Yeah, I
like
also
it.
like it that this uniqueness. We need something that makes this stand out to us, and we
Yeah.
aren't seeing the people, right? We're not out here interacting with citizens. We aren't out here interacting with townspeople in this POV. But he gives us like an idea that there's different answers from different people, so you
Hmm.
kind of still get this sense of culture. There's something there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree. This is great.
Yeah. Spook continued down the street, feeling like he was walking in a deep ravine. Numerous ladders and the occasional ramp or flight of stairs led up to the sidewalks and buildings above, but few people ever walked up there. The street slots, as the city's residents called them, had become normal. So cool. Spook caught the scent of smoke as he walked. He glanced up and noted a gap in the horizon of buildings. A building on this street had been burned to the ground. The house of a nobleman. Since Spook's sense of smell was as acute as his other senses, it was possible he was smelling smoke from long ago, when buildings had burned during the initial rampages following Straff Venture's death. Yet the scent seemed too strong for that, too recent. man, if you could smell things from like a year ago or 6 months
Mhm.
ago, that's pretty crazy.
He's a bloodhound.
Yeah. Spook hurried on. Urtio was dying slowly, decaying, and a lot of the blame could be placed on its ruler, the citizen. Long ago, Ellen had given a speech to the people of Luthadel. It had been the night when the Lord Ruler had died, the night of Kelsier's rebellion. Spook remembered Ellen's words well, for he'd warned that if the people founded their new government on hatred and bloodshed, it would consume itself with fear, jealousy, and chaos. And I think it's really exciting from a literary perspective. We are going to get to see what would have happened if, essentially,
Yes.
through this city.
Yeah. The other possibility.
And not just us, the characters as well.
Yeah.
Spook had been in that audience listening. He now saw that Elend was right. The Ska of Urtio had overthrown their noble rulers, and in a way, Spook was proud of them for doing so. He felt a growing fondness for the city, partially because of how devoutly they tried to follow what the survivor had taught. Yet their rebellion hadn't Yet their rebellion hadn't ceased with the ousting of the nobility. As Elend had predicted, the city had become a place of fear and death. The question
Okay,
was not,
remember that, Spook.
yes,
Remember that
please.
there's little cracks there that this I'm very scared because he brings this up. Oh no, he felt growing fondness, and he was proud of them. Those are little things that somebody basically in a cult could exploit. Because remember, we're talking about maybe he'll be radicalized and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This those are little things that he could work on, and also we know Spook is feeling downtrodden
And
and
ignored,
wanting
sort
value.
of. Yeah,
Yeah,
wanting
and
value.
ignored, and when somebody can offer you belonging and praise and all of that makes you ripe for a cult.
Yeah. There is a part of me that thinks that he's going to become, let's say, brave enough
Mm-hmm.
to try and become a part of the citizens' inner circle. I don't think that
Mm.
prediction is entirely informed by my knowledge of a future event with Spook.
Okay, so it's kind of an unbiased, or it's considering what we now know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because
Considering the citizen, yeah.
because him doing that isn't necessarily connected to the event that I know about
Mm.
Spook, but I could definitely see those two things overlapping in a way.
Mm. A reminder that I don't know the thing about Spook, guys, so please don't mention it in the comments.
Yes. I'm working really hard to be able to talk about it
Hmm.
without
I
talking about
appreciate it.
it.
Hmm.
And
And I'm
even
not guessing. I'm not guessing out loud because I don't want confirmation or anything like that.
yeah, and to clarify, like I don't know any of the details of the event.
Hmm.
So what I think is set up here may not in fact be that. Anyway.
Yeah. I also wonder, considering what we learn about the citizen, if that's even possible. Does he have allomancers around him? It seems like he would be against allomancy, which is kind of weird. I know because of Kelsier, but let's see. I'll let you know. I'll explain why I think that when we get to him.
Cool. The question was not why it had happened, but how to stop it. For now, that wasn't Spook's job. He was only supposed to gather information. Only familiarity, gained during weeks spent investigating the city, let him know when he was getting close, for it was frustratingly difficult to keep track of where one was down in the street slots. At first, he had tried to stay out of them, slipping through smaller alleyways above. Unfortunately, the slots networked the entire city, and he'd wasted so much time going up and down that he'd eventually realized that the slots really were the sole viable way of getting around. That's probably why they kept them. Maybe.
Yeah, but still, you could fill them in and make
That's
them
true.
into roads
That's true.
because then you can at least see where you're going very well.
Fair. Unless one were Mistborn, of course, but Spook couldn't hop from building to building on lines of allomantic power. He was stuck in the slots. He made the best of it. It really, I know we're stopping a lot, but this is, I think, some of Sanderson's best writings. The way he talks about the street slots is
Hmm.
great. He picked a ladder and swung onto it, climbing up. Though he wore leather gloves, he could feel the grain of the wood. Up top, there was a small sidewalk running along the street slot. An alleyway extended ahead of him, leading into a cluster of houses. A building at the end of the small street was his goal, but he did not move toward it. Instead, he waited, quietly searching for the signs he knew were there. Sure enough, he caught a rustling motion in a window a few buildings down. His ears detected the sound of footsteps in another building. The street ahead of him was being watched. Spook turned away. While the sentries were very careful to watch the alleyway, they unintentionally left another avenue open, their own buildings. Spook crept to the right, moving on feet that could feel each pebble beneath them, listening with ears that could hear someone's increased breathing when they spotted something unusual. He rounded a building, turning away from the watchful eyes, and entered a dead-end alleyway on the other side. There he lay, a hand against the wall of the building.
This is cool. This is cool stuff.
Yes, so cool. And it all sounds so overwhelming to me. I don't know how he handles it. I don't know what the magic is doing to his brain that lets him perceive it. I know Atium messes with your mind so that you can exist with all of the different timelines, but so I assume the similar thing is happening here, but Sanderson does a great job of really impressing upon us just how much he's feeling.
Yeah, and he's got all of that to deal with, so there is skill involved with it as well. So he has to filter all of that that information, and he also has to think about, like, as he was talking about feeling each pebble and all of that, he has to figure out what is audible to a normal person. He has to kind of figure out, like, have a sense of what's audible to a normal person, what's audible to me. There's so much that he actually has to keep track of just to move silently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I think that also then taxes your mind, because we don't know if his mind is enhanced along with his senses or not.
A thought I had is, if I were oh so fortunate enough to be cast as Spook in the movie type of a thing, and I were to get to this point in the story, how that would affect my voice when I were speaking. And I imagine that Spook would have to start talking really quietly, because
Yeah.
just as an after effect of being so sensitive. And that, I imagine how that would affect those around him, who would have to lean in and get really close to him. And then that's
Yeah.
gonna affect Spook, who will be like inundated with the smell of the people that are leaning in. It's really interesting.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of repercussions. It will be interesting to see, because he's clearly interacted with people. That makes him, he's not going to be a normal person. He's going to be quite easily remembered if you're speaking to this shadowy person who covers their face and whispers. That's going to be someone you can remember.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's not going to be able to dress up as a guard anymore, which, it wasn't worth it, Spook. That was way better than the tin stuff for disguises.
Yeah.
Or for spying. But anyway, he has his hand on the building. There were vibrations in the room. It was occupied, so he moved on. He can tell by vibrations. The next room alerted him immediately as he heard whispered voices within. The third room, however, gave him nothing. No vibrations of motion, no whispers, not even the muted thudding of a heartbeat, which he could sometimes hear if the air was still enough. Taking a deep breath, Spook quietly worked open the window lock and slipped in. It was a sleeping chamber, empty as he'd anticipated. He'd never come through this particular room before. His heart thumped as he closed the shutters, then slipped across the floor. Despite the near-total darkness, he had no trouble seeing in the room. It barely seemed dim to him. Breaking and entering.
Well, that's what he's got to do. But yeah, I guess this is what he thinks is worth it. I mean, being able to feel the vibrations and, do all of this. Yeah, it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Screw your disguise.
So we know that on a clear day, with minimal noise, he can hear a heartbeat. And that kind of gives us a gauge for, like, he's not going to hear something 3 streets away necessarily, unless it's like super loud. But he can hear vibrations. Interesting.
Or feel vibrations, because it's all of his senses.
Yes. Outside the room, he found a more familiar hallway. He easily snuck past 2 rooms where guards watched the street. There was a thrill in doing these infiltrations. Spook was in one of the citizens' own guardhouses, steps away from large numbers of armed soldiers. They should have taken care to secure their own building better. Again, that
Brazenness.
arrogance, brazenness. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a better word for it. He crept up the stairs, making his way to a small, rarely used room on the third floor. He checked for vibrations, then slipped in. The austere chamber was piled with a mound of extra bedrolls and a dusty stack of uniforms. Spook smiled as he moved across the floor, stepping carefully and quietly, his highly sensitive toes able to feel loose, squeaky, or warped boards. He sat down on the windowsill, confident that nobody outside would be able to see well enough to spot him. That right there is
Mm-hmm.
like, what if there's another Tin Eye about, for one thing?
Yeah.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
that overconfidence. You're going to
Yeah.
misjudge that eventually.
Yeah, and oh, I'm gonna just create this silhouette over here. But he's just, yeah, and he's just confident all the time, just confident. Nobody outside would be able to see.
Yep.
Okay. You're just talking about the confidence of the guards, right? That, oh, they should
Mm-hmm.
have taken better care of their guard duty. You know, they should have thought about their own house. So you can see that weakness, but you don't see it in yourself.
Yep.
Which just signals to us as a reader, ooh, this is gonna turn on him.
The citizen's house lay a few yards away. Quellion decried ostentation and had chosen for his headquarters a structure of modest size. It had probably once been a minor nobleman's home, and had only a small yard which Spook could easily see into from his vantage. The building glowed, light streaking from every crack and window, as if it were filled with some awesome power and on the verge of bursting.
What a cool image.
Yeah, and we get the name Quellion, and that he
Mm-hmm.
is a humble asterisk
Mm.
man.
Mm-hmm. He's not like the nobleman.
Yeah, not at all.
Promise.
It's a smart move. I think so.
Mm. Yeah.
But then that was merely the way that Spook's overflared tin made him see any building that had lights on inside. Spook leaned his back against the window's frame, his legs up on the windowsill. The window contained neither glass nor shutters, but there were nail holes in the wood, indicating that there had once been something there. The reason the shutters had been removed didn't matter to Spook. Their lack meant that this room was unlikely to be entered at night. Mists had already claimed the room, though they were so faint to Spook's eyes that he had had trouble seeing them. For a while, nothing happened. The building and grounds below remained silent and still in the night air. Eventually, however, she appeared.
Like, who is the she? And this thing about removing the shutters, help me understand, because I'm like, well, did they do this on purpose? They did this so that the mists can take over that room, therefore it's cancelled out, nobody will go into it. Is that what I'm understanding? They did it on purpose so the mists would go in there? Because if the mists went in there despite shutters, why take the shutters out at all?
I don't know. I truly don't know. I didn't get that it was done on purpose.
Well, the lack of them meant that this room was unlikely to be entered at night. So the window contained neither glass nor shutters, though there were nail holes on the side of the wood, indicating that there had once been something there. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just vandalism or something. And
Mm-hmm.
because of that, the mists went in. Either way, I
Yeah.
guess it's not that important. But that would be a good way to trap Spook. Take the shutters off something in a house, and let the mist go in there, and then he'll go in there.
Yep. And there's a she now.
Mm-hmm.
Spook perked up, watching the young woman leave the house and enter the garden. She had on a light brown scauze dress, a garment she somehow wore with striking elegance. Her hair was darker than the dress, but not by much. Spook had seen very few people with her shade of deep auburn hair, at least few people who had been able to keep it clean of ash and soot. Everyone in the city knew of Beldre, the citizen's sister. See, I was expecting daughter going into this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
Because you expected Citizen is probably older.
at least a little bit, but
Mm.
I guess not. Like, I didn't expect an elderly man by any
Mm-hmm.
means, but, you know, a Kelsier aged or a Breeze aged.
Mm.
But I guess the citizen could well be a younger man. I mean, Revolution is a young man's game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Che Quellion. She was said to be beautiful, and in this case the rumors were true. But nobody had mentioned her sadness. With his tin flared so high, Spook felt like he was standing next to her. He could see her sorrowful eyes reflecting light from the shining building behind her. What did you make of there being a sadness to her?
um, just that, yeah, there's something she's suffering. obviously the later, I don't know, later on understanding or hearing a bit more about what the citizen was doing, I'm like, oh, did she have a like noble-blooded uh, lover and then he got killed or
Mm.
something? You know, that makes her sad, or just yeah, general sadness of what her brother's doing. I suppose is
Yeah,
yeah, that's all. Wow, what did you do?
I'll say I think that there is a sadness to Beldre. I think there's a sadness to Spook in
Mm-hmm.
keeping with his wanting acceptance type thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the sadness that Spook sees in Beldre is part of his attraction to her. I don't mean he's like into her being sad. I mean, I think he senses a kinship with her.
Yes. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
There was a bench in the yard by a small shrub. It was the lone plant left in the garden. The rest had been torn up and plowed under, leaving behind blackish brown earth. From what Spook had heard, the citizen had declared that ornamental gardens were of the nobility. He claimed that such places had only been possible through the sweat of Ska slaves. One more way the nobility had achieved high levels of luxury, by creating equally high levels of work for their servants. When the people of Urtio
So
had... Go on?
this is just more. This is just well, the first proper example of how crazy things have gotten.
Yes.
Because how he's dialed it up to 11 over here. Like, oh no, we can't have gardens now. It's just like okay, commie.
Yep.
But yeah, it's really, really. You're like, okay, I see where this is going. Because of that, it's like, okay, I've decided that this is what this garden. You could put your own work into your own garden. What's wrong with that? That you should have the freedom to do that because you're free now. No.
The problem is that you considered it your garden. It is our garden, comrade.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You can't work for the garden yourself. So yeah, we can't have any.
Do you have the ordinance to work on that garden?
Yeah. Well, just remember, hey, also, just remember, like, back in the day, like in the first book, it was the guy that ruined the whole freaking army,
Yedden?
Yedden. He freaking, like, saw a problem with sitting in a comfortable chair,
Yeah.
like, that's not a thing that we do because we're Scar. So, yeah, this is the natural progression of that we must be completely against the nobility in all ways possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is what you do with your freedom. Enjoy.
No one's allowed any sort of comfort.
Yeah.
When the people of Urtio had whitewashed the city's murals and shattered its stained glass windows, they had also torn up all the ornamental gardens. Beldre sat down on her bench, hands held motionless in her lap, looking down at the sad shrub. Spook tried to convince himself that she wasn't the reason why he made certain to always sneak in and listen to the citizens' evening conferences, and he was mostly successful. These were some of the best spying opportunities Spook got. Being able to see Beldre was merely a bonus. Not that he cared that much, of course. He didn't even know her. That's cope.
Yeah, that's coke, but at least he still has ideas that he doesn't know her, okay? Because when it becomes delusional, he will feel like he knows her, and then, well, so he'll feel like he knows her,
Why do you think it's
and then
gonna
when it
become
becomes
delusional though? Like
because
why can't he admire her and then like work up the courage to actually approach her? Or
I'm hoping that's what happens. I'm hoping that it is a love story, not him actually being twisted. That's what I'm hoping. But I'm seeing that there is a potentiality for it to go either way. So the way that it happens is that I feel like I know her. Oh, I do know her, and there's none of this. Can become a delusion, and we also know we also have the established thing that his mind that the thing Flarington can do strange things to your mind. We don't even know the extent of that. But what
Mhm.
I do hope, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, I'm just seeing that there is the potential for it to go either way.
Yes.
That this he didn't even know her, that's a good sign. The fact that he knows that he doesn't know her is a good sign.
Yes.
But if that disappears after like a month or something, that's going to be a problem. He's then gone insane.
A month is a long time, I agree.
Mhm.
But what if it's like, what if it's just an earnest appreciation? He doesn't intend to approach her, but he also doesn't intend to like to actually stalk her or anything. Like what if he just
He
never
just
works
likes her.
up what if he just likes her and he never works up the courage to approach her or anything? He's not
That's
like
fine.
doing anything wholly unsavory or anything.
I'm not saying that he is. It's his job to
Right.
spy.
Right.
So there he is. And, he might convince himself as well that, oh no, if he can speak to her, then he can just put some cope on and be like, no, I'm only speaking to her because of my mission. But actually, he's lonely and he likes her. She's beautiful. She's sad. He wants to understand why she's sad. Feels kinship. That's all normal. I'm not saying that that's abnormal. I'm just saying that there is a potential if Sanderson wanted it
Yes.
to go the other way.
Yeah. It's you're walking a precarious line. It could either end up
Mm-hmm.
being romantic or
Mm-hmm.
scary.
Yeah. And the reason that I'm even considering the scary option is because Spook is
Not in his
essentially
right
on a
mind.
substance.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not in his right mind and he's very isolated.
Yes.
He's living a very strange life right now.
Yeah. I will be very disappointed in Spook if it does go the negative way.
Me too. Like it would be really romantic if they just, she actually can see him. She's a Tanai too.
Oh.
Something like that.
Ooh, and then if
All of
she
those
were a
things.
Tenai too, that would mean she has noble parentage, which means the citizen has noble parentage.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even know her. He thought that as he sat there staring down at her, wishing he had some way to talk to her. But this wasn't the time for that. Beldre's exile to the garden meant that her brother's meeting was about to start. He always kept her near, but apparently didn't want her hearing state secrets. Unfortunately for him.
Or
Hmm?
or she still listens to him anyway from outside, but it helps him manipulate his followers, saying that
Hmm.
yeah, she needs to go out, but actually she listens. Like I'm wondering if, because we made such a big thing about him not being visible and blah blah what, and him saying other elementals can't see as well as him and whatever. Who knows if this girl is a Tana?
Yeah. Fair.
Hmm. Well, I want
Unfortunately,
her to be, is what I'm saying.
that would be neat. And that
Yeah,
might mean that she knows she's being watched. She could be
yeah.
into it.
She could be like, when is he going to come to me?
Yeah.
Like she waves one day.
Or she'll do no, it'll be one of those romantic things. She'll like leave a flower out there or something, maybe with a note.
Or she just whispers because he can hear her. Ooh.
She'll come out and she'll like read a poem or something. He won't respond. Ah. Unfortunately for him, his window opened towards Spook's vantage point. No normal man, nor an ordinary Tenai or Mistborn, could have heard what was being said inside, but Spook wasn't, by any stretched definition of the word, normal. I won't be useless anymore, he thought with determination as he listened for words spoken in confidence. They passed through the shutters, crossed the short space, and arrived at his ears. All right, Olid. What news? The voice was familiar to Spook by now. Quellion, the citizen of Urtio. Ellen Venture has conquered another city, said a second voice, Olid, the foreign minister. Where? Quellion demanded. What city? An unimportant one, Olid said. To the south, barely 5,000 people. It makes no sense, said a third voice. He immediately abandoned the city, taking its populace with him. But he got another Kolos army somehow, Olid added. Good, Spook thought. The fourth storage cavern was theirs. Luthadel wouldn't starve for a while yet. That left only two to secure, the one here in Urtio and the last one, wherever that turned out to be. A tyrant needs no real reason for what he does, Quellion said. He was a young man, but not foolish. At times he sounded like other men Spook had known, wise men. The difference was one of extremity. Or perhaps timing?
Oof.
That was an interesting line there.
Mm. Yeah. Which is just like, that makes me think of Spook as well. I'm like, okay, the timing, the time he is in could drive his insanity further
Mm-hmm.
or drive his addiction further and twist him and in a way that wouldn't have happened previously.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, that's so for everybody, and the difference was one of extremity. Okay, so he's wise, he knows these things, this person, and then his methods to getting what he wants are extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And that also makes you think of what Ellen is doing. Is Ellen going to become extreme? That kind of thing.
Maybe.
What was your thing? Timing. Yeah, timing is just, okay, so it's just the circumstances you're in. So, that's the only reason this person is an extremist. It's just the
Yeah.
timing.
Yeah.
Which is like,
It's
I don't know.
yeah. It's a thought-provoking segment.
Yeah. Because then it also is like, well, hold on. Does that mean that he's able to then understand this extremist Quellion at some point?
Hmm. A tyrant conquers for the thrill of control, Quellion continued. Venture isn't satisfied with the lands he's taken. He never will be. He'll just keep on conquering until he comes for us. The room fell silent. Now, it's at this point I think that maybe Ellen should have sent Fatrin along with Breeze and Sazed, because he could have personally told them, yeah, Ellen's a man of his word. He did bring us back, but he saved us from an army of Kolos, and he kept me in charge of my own people. So this guy's legit. But then I countered that thought with, well, he had only just gotten back to Luthadel. He does need to stay there and settle his own citizens and get the lay of the land in Luthadel first. So I get it, but that it really would have been. And Fatrin is a Ska, so I think that could have been.
At the very least, he should have sent some sort of Ska representation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, okay, we've got Breeze that's supposedly Ska, but it's
anyone in the Church of the Survivor. Hell, even Demio.
Yeah, somebody that Ska definitely wouldn't matter to these guys. They would care. Obviously, they'd probably characterize that person as a traitor because that's what you do. But the thing in Ellen's mind was, people will take a terroristman seriously, and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, should have sent Demio instead.
This guy, add him to the crew. But I suppose Demir is now a general, isn't he? So yeah, he's got other things to do. Just bring some Scar, but we don't know who to trust.
I considered, maybe you should have sent Vin, but then I have to wonder what the Zealots will think of Vin as heir of the Survivor, but she also married Ellen. So will they like her? Will this be a branch that disavows Vin or not?
Yeah, we don't hear much about what they think of Vin here.
Yeah.
It's very much about Calcio. Yeah, I think this delegation is not going to be it's not going to happen very nicely. But, Bree said it'll be fine.
Yeah. He's reportedly sending an ambassador to Urtio, the third voice said. A member of the Survivor's own crew. Spook perked up. Quellion snorted. One of the liars coming here? To offer us a treaty. What? Yeah, one of the liars.
Yeah, it's like, look, I took note of that when I first read it, but now just considering our conversation here, it's like one of the liars, okay, they've already characterized.
The crew betrayed Calcier's memory.
Yeah. Yeah, the crew has done something. They've lied. The crew is a traitor. Are traitors, essentially. And whatever they're professing is lies, okay?
Yeah, and how dare you, Quellion? Did you even know who Kelsier was before he and the crew overthrew the Lord Ruler? Anything you've learned had to have been third, fourth, fifth hand. How dare you claim to know?
He claims to know because he wants to conquer, okay? He wants power, and he will decide whichever bit of information suits him, okay? Sorry for you, Dorkus. You probably have noble blood, huh? Yeah, probably. You disagree with me, you probably have noble blood.
Convenient. One of the liars coming here? To offer us a treaty, the rumors say, Olid said. So? Quellion asked. Why do you mention this, Olid? Do you think we should take a pact with the tyrant? We can't fight him, Quellion, Olid said. The Survivor couldn't fight the Lord Ruler, Quellion said, but he did Anyway, he died, but still won, giving the Ska courage to rebel and overthrow the nobility. Until that bastard Venture took control, the third voice said. The room fell silent again. We can't give in to Venture, Quellion eventually said. I will not hand this city to a nobleman, not after what the survivor did for us. Of all the final empire, only Ertio achieved Kelsier's goal of a Ska-ruled nation. Only we burned the homes of the nobility. Only we cleansed our town of them and their society. Only we obeyed. The survivor will watch over us.
Okay, so what is their doctrine here? Like their doctrine, so we've got the liars. They think that Venture took over from the Scar, as opposed to he said a speech and won their hearts. Okay, and then made the assembly and all of that. They just decided that these, like, because they definitely, if they were hearing of people coming to as messengers and whatever, if they're hearing that all that kind of news, they should have heard about the assembly. So they just decided, no, that's lies because it doesn't suit us. That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
And just Venture is a tyrant. End of story.
Yep, they took the darkest of Dark Kelsier's ideology, and there's no room for any other sort of growth or any shade of gray.
Like they even says, even the way he phrased it, we cleansed our town of them and their society.
Yeah.
So society, like it's all gone. Oof.
Yeah.
Only we obeyed as well. Obeyed? What was the commandment?
Yeah. I read that and I think that's going to end in bloody warfare. This is not someone that Sazed and Breeze can talk down or convince. Yeah.
But the look, the person, the OLED,
they're going to try and assassinate the ambassadors is what's going to happen.
I think they might have to assassinate Quellion.
They're going to cut off Breeze's head and send it back as a warning.
Oh, no. But hey, he's also, and Alrion will see this because she's going to be with him.
Aw. Yeah, they sent the wrong delegation. Sazed's probably okay, but should have sent him, sorry, not sorry. Even though he's a general and needed.
I mean, that would probably even be, the fact that the sister has to wear this brown scar dress, and then you bring this girl that's a valley girl essentially. that's a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is pretty scary. I'm wondering if this OLED guy is someone that you could crack, because he's like, oh well, they're offering us treaties. There's going to be an ambassador. He could just be delivering the news, which is what he's supposed to do. But the fact that Quellion says, why do you bring this up? It's like, well, because it shows that he's not a tyrant. He's actually willing to talk. He doesn't want bloodshed. Wouldn't he want the thrill of conquering through bloodshed? No? Okay, whatever. But the double think just is all over the place here.
Yeah.
I'm scared of this guy.
Me too. Spook shivered quietly. It felt strange to be hearing men he didn't know speak of Kelsier in such tones. Spook had walked with Kelsier, learned from him. What right did these men have to speak as if they had known the man who had become the survivor? Amen to that, Spook. Do not be taken in by their lies.
They don't know shit.
And that. The conversation turned to matters more mundane. They discussed new laws that would forbid certain kinds of clothing once favored by the nobility. That's extreme. And then made a decision to give more funding to the Genealogical Survey Committee. Committees! And they're gonna purge anyone. They're not done.
Yeah.
They're gonna be putting people up against the wall.
And I'm telling you,
innocent people, innocent Ska.
Yeah. Innocent people. Okay, so already it's stupid to just, oh well, now you're not innocent because you're guilty by blood. Okay, that's a problem already. Stupid. But we know the way that this works. Like I said earlier, it's like, oh, you disagree with me, you must have noble blood. You can go and have this committee find some interesting records that show that actually that auntie over there is not your mom. It actually was this person that was Venture, that slept with Venture and whatever, and boom, now you must die. Like, that's what happens with this. And I'm interested to see that being abused.
Yeah.
Also, that we don't even have can't even have clothing that is favored by the nobility.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think clothing. I would take clothing laws over, ethnic cleansing.
Yes. They needed to root out any in the city who were hiding noble parentage. Spook took notes so he could pass them on to the others. However, he had trouble keeping his eyes from trailing back down to the young woman in the garden. What brings her such sorrow? He wondered. A part of him wanted to ask, to be brash as the survivor would have been, and hop down to demand of this solemn, solitary woman why she stared at that plant with such melancholy. In fact, he nearly stood up before he caught himself. He might be unique, he might be powerful, but, as he had to remind himself again, he was no Mistborn. His was the way of silence and stealth, so he settled back, content for the moment to watch her, feeling that somehow, despite their distance, despite his ignorance, he understood that feeling in her eyes.
Oh,
I think it's
I,
romantic for the time being.
yeah. Mm. Oh, Spook.
Who knows? He may go out and find a plant and place it in the garden for her.
Yeah, but yeah, just I like the fact that he almost stood up even to go and do it. But that
Yeah.
would be brazen. Okay, so let's theorize. Maybe he does one day do it, and that's the day he gets caught.
That would be tough. If he gets caught in bed with the citizen's sister, he's gonna be executed.
I was thinking of him literally just being caught in the garden, but it would be nice if he got into bed with her. Good for him.
Yeah. Spook is not enough of a player to successfully get with the girl as a way to get to the citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he has the ego that might drive him. But yeah, then right now, so far, it's like, oh, I'm not a Mistborn. Like, you have to be a Mistborn to do that? Okay.
It worked for Ellen. Wait.
Yeah,
No, it
Ellen
didn't.
had no elemency whatsoever.
It worked for Vin?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she was supposed to be non-elementic.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I liked this chapter a lot. I'm excited to see where Spook's story goes.
Mm-hmm. Same. And where this girl's story goes, where Quellion goes, hopefully he goes to irrelevance and lack of power. But yeah.
Anything else to say, Kitty?
Like the video!
If you like. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to That Darn Kita if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel. And we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks,
Yeah,
bye.
thanks. Bye.